What's up, guys? Wes the People's Pitmaster back again for another episode of the Smoke Ring Syndicate. It's my weekly barbecue podcast that drops every Wednesday at 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This week, we're headed out to Augusta. I've got Chef John in the house. John, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How are you guys doing out there? Wes, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We linked up and cooked for Bert Kreischer a couple of months ago, and
Yeah,
been trying to line our schedules up since then,
yeah.
and we finally done it. And here we are, live and in person.
Yeah, no, it was a great event. It was a great time being in Macon. That's a beautiful facility too for all those
Yeah,
people in Macon. Shout out to you guys. That place is awesome. And we had a blast. Bert was really cool. All the comedians that were there were really cool. We got to meet Dave Artell. That was like he was like one of my from remember that old show, The Insomniac,
yeah,
Late
the
Night Insomniac.
Insomniac tours.
Yeah, yeah. But it was cool to see him. So that was a lot of fun. That was a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, and Jelly Roll and
Yep,
everybody
Jelly
else that was
Roll.
down there.
I totally forgot about
Did-
Jelly Roll. Yeah.
How could you forget somebody that big? He's I don't know, play on words there maybe.
That's so
Um,
funny.
well, and it was kind of confusing to me at first. I was like, because we were hearing rumors like, oh yeah, Jelly Roll might show up, and
Right.
then somebody's like, oh yeah, Jelly Roll and Bert are good friends. I'm like, how does that work?
I don't
And
know
I
how
was
they
like,
linked up.
it didn't make too much sense to me, and I was like, I mean, I guess if everybody runs in that popularity circle, and maybe they were fans of each other, and now they're just friends with each other too. So,
Yeah, and Bert was
but
helping him with his whole workout stuff. Like Jelly Roll was trying to like get more active, lose some pounds,
mm,
and Bert was all about that. You know, he had brought
yeah,
his whole gym with him to Macon. He had like a mobile gym. That was
yeah,
hilarious. And yeah, he had the ice bath thing there. Like it was a full setup. I was
yeah,
impressed. I was impressed.
yeah. Yeah, I said my only thing is how do you get to be like the guy that just goes with and cooks for all these folks like everywhere?
I don't know. I've been
Uh,
asking myself the same question. I've been trying to get in that circle for years now, years.
yeah.
But that would be, I mean,
Well,
that'd be a really cool job though, traveling around with artists and musicians and comedians and
yeah,
stuff, and just like cooking for them. Dream job.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, and whenever Bert and Rectech first hooked up, I said, man, that'd be cool. They slide the little Rectech under the bus, put me under the bus too. Just pull both of us out when they get there,
Yeah,
and man, let's rock some ribs or brisket or chicken, whatever it is they want.
yeah.
Um,
No, that we were really lucky that Bert really took to the grills. He really loved them. And then we
yeah,
ended up like giving him a couple to take on tour with them, some of the mobile grills that we have. And he loved them. And he loved being able to eat barbecue while he was on tour. And
yeah,
for those of you who don't know Bert so well, he's a food enthusiast for sure.
yeah.
Like Bert loves to eat good food. And it doesn't
Oh
necessarily
yeah,
matter what kind of food. You know, he has his stuff that he likes, but yeah, he'll eat all kinds of stuff. So it was really great for us. It was a great thing to hook up with him because it was just a natural kind of thing. He came to
yeah,
Rec Tech. He and Warren Sapp actually came to Rec Tech together. For those of you who don't know Warren, he is a NFL Super Bowl champ and an Hall of Famer as well. He played for Tampa for a while, but he's a great guy too. So they came together, and man, that was a great day at Rec Tech. We cooked pretty much all morning, hung out with them, ate, showed them around the facilities, cooked more food. Like it was a great day. It was a great day.
yeah,
But
for sure.
from those relationships, yeah, we've been able to hang out with Bert when he's done these tours, and we're going to be heading out to Colorado in October for the Colorado Kansas State game, and we're going to be cooking for the Buffaloes out there. So super excited to have that opportunity as well.
Yeah, it's that's a lot of fun. You get to be the show pony for the store,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not a bad gig at all.
no,
So
definitely not.
Man, let's take it all the way back. Before you were Chef John, you were John Pannell.
Yes, sir.
What got you into cooking? What got you into the food space? And we'll just kind of walk us through the early John pre chef moniker and coat,
Okay, I love
and
it. So we're going all the way back.
all the
Um,
way back.
so I would have to say my love for food started as just being a little fat kid in the kitchen. I just love to eat. So my mother was probably my first chef instructor, and she was like, "Look, if you're going to be in the kitchen, you're going to have to learn how to do some stuff." So she had me, doing the basic things: peeling the potatoes, boiling eggs,
Mm,
helping make drain the noodles, pasta noodles, that kind of stuff. So as the years went on, we just started. We would just cook together all the time, and I really started to have an affinity for cooking food myself. It just that way you can put on it what you like. You don't necessarily have to
mm,
worry about what comes on it. And I learned at a very young age, if you do it yourself, then it's always going to taste good. Like, and you have no one to blame except yourself. If
yeah,
that peanut butter and pickle sandwich didn't work out, it's because you made it. You did that. So and then it translated. I went to, through high school, just being a normal guy, played sports, really wasn't into like cooking as much, but still had that background in it. I could still cook for my friends and stuff when we would get together. So eventually it turned into, I started working at a restaurant as a dishwasher. And it just, while I was going through college, is just a job that I could have. And did that for like a year or two, hated it. It was probably the worst job in the kitchen. It was a Tex-Mex restaurant. Everything had cheese baked on it. I was scrubbing refried bean pots and pans. It was terrible. I hated it.
yeah,
But eventually one of the cooks got sick, and the general manager was a friend of mine, and he was like, "You should try going on the line. One of our cooks is sick." And I was like, "Okay, I'll try it out." And I really took to it like a duck to water, and it was just it
yeah,
came really naturally and easy to me. So I'm about 18 at this point, and I'm thinking about college and what I'm going to do. And so I go try out a 4-year college. It was called Augusta College back when it was Augusta College, Augusta State University now, and did 2 years there. And realized college was definitely not for me. Like I love
yeah,
the sports aspect of it, but like going to class and taking the notes, I wasn't feeling it.
yeah,
So I went to a trade school for 2 years and finished up. Got all my core stuff out of the way. And while I was doing that, I was really just trying to figure out what I was going to do. I was still cooking at this Tex-Mex restaurant, and I was starting to, they had promoted me to a corporate trainer at that point. I was going to open other restaurants and teach people how to cook. And cooking just came so natural and so easy to me. I was like, I should see what happens. So I left that restaurant, went to a nicer restaurant where they had this French chef. He was from France. His name was Max. Shout out to you, Max, if you're listening. Um, and I worked for him for 2 years. And after, like, we did not get along the first 6 months. It was terrible. And I was going home every day berating French people, talking about how bad they were, and I was just so angry with them, and I didn't understand why they were in this country. It was bad. But it took a while, and I guess after Max, he just really wanted to see, and this is most chefs out there, they just wanted to see where you're at and what you're willing to put in. Like, they don't want to
hmm
waste a lot of time training people who are going to be gone in 6 months because they don't have a good work ethic. And I didn't understand
yeah,
that at the time, but that's what he was doing. He was really just testing me to see what I was made out of. So about after
yeah,
6 months, 7 months, he started to warm up. So I stayed probably 2 years, 2.5 years with him. And by the end of it, he told me that if I was serious about cooking, then I needed to go to culinary school. And he suggested some culinary schools. And so I went and applied, and I applied to all of them: Johnson Wales, CIA, Le Cordon Bleu, and a couple other smaller ones, Necky in the Northeast. Um, and Le Cordon Bleu was the first school to get back to me. And so I
hmm
accepted the offer there. That was the first school they opened in the United States, and it was in Dover, New Hampshire. So I
hmm
went from there, living in Georgia at the time. I traveled to Dover, New Hampshire. Um, and since it was their first program in the United States, you had to have some kind of culinary background. They weren't just taking fresh, new people who had never cooked before. So you had to have
Yeah.
some kind of culinary background, and you had to have been doing that job for at least a year or two. So all the people that I went to school with were actually working chefs. They knew that that's what they wanted to do, and a culinary
Yeah.
school was so much fun. It was a great, great time. Anybody who's out there who's listening, who has a passion for cooking for large groups, and wants to take it to another level, I highly suggest you go to culinary school or get yourself underneath a reputable chef and try to start learning as much as you can. Because it was great, and being around like-minded people, people who were enthusiastic about food, loved, thinking of recipes and digging into the guts of recipes, tearing them down, finding out, where they came from, the region, the style of the cooking, all that stuff. It really spoke to me. Um, so I had a blast at culinary school. Ended up
Yeah.
graduating top 3% of my class. And then I just took off, bro. And I went up and down the East Coast, just working at any restaurant really that I could. And I've worked at pretty much every place you guys can, every kind of genre of food you can think of: Italian, French, German, um, Indian. I've pretty much I've done a lot. I've done a lot of them.
Hmm.
And then I traveled up and down, and this was probably the next 2 years, 3 years. I traveled up and down the East Coast, probably working here and there at places that I could find underneath good chefs. Then I moved back down south and opened my own little restaurant. It was called the Whistle Stop Cafe in Augusta, Georgia.
Hmm.
Um, and that's when I met Ray Carnes.
Yeah.
And he,
So he
go
just
ahead.
he was a patron, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was a patron. He came in, and if you guys don't know Ray, first of all, shout out to you, Ray, if you're listening. Ray loves to eat good food as well. He's like my size, a big guy, you know, and I've never seen him shy away from delicious food. So when we opened our place, he heard about it. He came down and he checked us out, and he would get a it was like a Philly cheesesteak that we made, and
Mhm.
I put it on just a simple hoagie, sliced ribeye, fresh peppers and onions. I'd saute it all up, provolone cheese over the top. I'd make a little brown sauce. It was delicious. But he'd
Yeah.
come in probably like twice a week and get that. So eventually he asked if he could meet the chef, and I went out there and introduced myself, and he told me how he loved the sandwich, and he loved coming here, he loved the place, and um, asked me, what I did and who I was and all that kind of stuff. And so we ended up talking for a minute, and that was probably the last time I talked to Ray for probably like a year. Fast forward about a year, and a buddy of mine that I went to high school with worked for RecTech, and he was the art director
Yeah.
and still is.
Hmm.
His name's Matt Acosta.
Hmm.
And so he reaches out to me and tells me that RecTech is looking for um, some new on-air personality and wanted to know if I was still interested in doing that kind of stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm super interested in that. At that
Yeah.
point, I did not know that Ray Carnes owned RecTech. I'd never heard of RecTech. I just thought Ray Carnes was this nice guy that came in who loved my Philly cheesesteak sandwiches. And
Yeah.
he was like, yeah, it's this place called RecTech. And I was like, what's RecTech? And he was like, it's a pellet grill manufacturer. We're out here in Evans. And I was like, what's a pellet grill? And he was like, you got to come in. Just come in and check it out. And I was like, all right. He's like, you're going to talk to the owner. And I think y'all are going to hit it off. And it's going to be great. I was like, all right. So I came in. And sure enough, Ray was sitting behind the desk. And I was like, I know you. And he was like, I know you. So we sat down and we talked. He sent me home with 3 grills after that conversation, and I
Hmm.
was off to the races ever since. I worked for him for part time for probably like I don't would say about a year. I did part time, and I
Hmm.
was doing the restaurant and working at RecTech, and then it just became too much. And Ray saw that it was too much. He made me an offer I couldn't refuse, and so then I went over full time with RecTech. Me and my business partner at that time sold the restaurant, and I've never looked back, bro. It's been great. I've been having a
Yeah.
great time.
Yeah. So, so you didn't like you grew up cooking with the family, but you didn't necessarily have like that old school um cooking with the family, like we do barbecue on Sundays, or you did the church fundraiser. And
Yeah,
like I remember, like when I was younger, we had a the Baptist church that we went to, they had like a big chicken thing, and it was literally it was when it wasn't in operation, it was built up like a table, like a long banquet table. But then you pulled the little top pieces off and put grates on it, and you could cook,
Yeah.
chicken. And like I remember that as a kid, and I'm like, that was so. It was like it probably wasn't that great of chicken, but in your head, it was like, man, that was the best chicken ever.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I remember those days. So I grew up. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and
mhm,
my family moved to Georgia when I was young. So I grew up on the south side of Augusta. Went to middle school, high school, all through that. So it was a private Christian community school. My family joined this
mhm,
private Christian community, and we used to do stuff like that for like Fourth of July's and big celebrations and stuff. They had a big barbecue pit that was made out of cinder blocks, and it was probably the length of a driveway. And
yeah,
remember those old floor heaters that they
uh
put
huh,
in homes with those grates? They had all those grates taken out of these floor heaters when people replaced it with central heating and air, and those were the grates they would cook on, right? And so it was about the length of a driveway. They'd fill it up with coals, and it was great. I remember doing
yeah,
that. Now, I was lucky. My next door neighbor, when I was growing up, was a gentleman from Texas named Jim Kewen. And
mhm,
he showed me how to do like traditional Texas barbecue back when I was a young lad. We're talking I must have been 6 to 8 years old, like just enough that I can remember what he was doing. But it was like some of those early memories of barbecue. And my
yeah,
dad would barbecue every Sunday. Like my mom was a phenomenal chef, and my dad
mhm.
loved to run the grill, but he wasn't really good at
So
it. He wasn't.
yeah,
Sometimes chicken would be a little under. You'd have to pop in the microwave, for a minute. Sometimes the brisket, he would not trim it, and it would take 24 hours for that thing to cook, and he would be
yeah,
doing it over like charcoals. It was like, so yeah, God bless him. I love him. Love you, Reggie. But yeah, he struggled with the barbecue, but he did it. And every Sunday I was
yeah,
lighting coals with him, and we were cooking something on the barbecue on Sunday. But our next door neighbor, really, he was a phenomenal barbecuer, and he showed me a lot of stuff.
yeah,
A lot of the seasonings that he used, and it was just those old school Texas salt, pepper, garlic kind of seasonings.
yeah.
And then he would have a mop that he would mop stuff with. But he was the first person that I've ever saw cook goat before, and that was the first time I ever had
Okay,
goat at a young age, like 9, 10 years old, and it was delicious, delicious. A
yeah.
little freaky to watch someone cook one, but it was delicious.
Well, I didn't have goat for the first time until 2018, 2019.
Oh wow.
When I was out in Texas with Junior Urias for Junior. Junior has a big holiday party for the holiday that they named in his honor,
Okay.
and so we cooked a couple of whole little baby goats, and then Harry Sue actually took the head and made goat head tacos. So literally, it
Nice.
was tacos from the goat, the meat off the goat's head,
I
and I
love
was
it.
like, I mean, you can't not try it
That's
at least, right? I mean,
that's it.
you're at Junior Urias's place, he's been on the season 5 Pit Masters,
Yeah.
and then your roommate is Harry Sue from season 1 of Pit
Like,
Masters,
let's
and he's
go.
like, "Hey man, I got a taco I made with a goat's head," and I'm like, "Screw it, let me have that taco."
Yeah, you got to. You got to try
Yeah,
it. Everybody who's out there listening, look, push your limits a little bit. You don't have to necessarily like it, and you may not like everything that you try, but you only
yeah,
have one life. You know what I'm saying? You got one mouth, one tongue, and you got to try at least everything one time. One time, one
yeah,
bite. That's all you got to try. That's all you got to try. I
yeah.
encourage everybody out there for sure.
Yeah, that's been Indian food for me. My wife and daughter love Indian food, and I've suffered through 2 or 3 meals of that, and it's just not for me. Like
Really?
even yeah, I'm like I'll have rice and some naan, but all the other everything else I'm like, nah, I'm good.
No sog
Um,
paneer, no
no,
vandaloo, anything. No,
no,
you don't. No, that's not
no.
your thing.
I mean, I've tried literally. We went out with my brother-in-law, sister-in-law, my wife, my daughter, my niece, and her husband, and everybody at the table got something different. And so I tried a piece of every single thing, and I was like, I mean, like I could tolerate this one. This one is an absolute no. This one is like hot garbage. Throw it in the trash. But I mean, like I legitimately gave it a shot.
There you go. That's all you have to
But
do. And at least you
I'm
know
gonna
at
go.
that point.
Yeah, I'm going rice taco. That's rice taco with the garlic naan and
Yeah.
some rice.
Now that garlic
And
naan slaps, right?
yeah, yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good
good stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Well, and that's what like I was like, man, it's a shame that everything else is terrible to me because this would make a perfect taco shell.
Wes, you're so funny. No, I love Indian food. That buttered chicken, sog paneer.
I really that was I got the buttered chicken. I was like, butter chicken, butter. I'm like, this is gonna be like right up my alley.
Yeah.
And I was like, no,
So it's that curry
absolutely not.
taste you probably don't like.
I'm not a big curry guy.
Okay. Okay. See,
What
yeah.
and I knew like going into it, I was not a curry guy. I've not been a curry guy ever.
Okay.
Um, like I have, I linked up with a company that makes wet jerk seasonings a couple of years ago,
Okay.
and they sent me a little box with a bunch of different stuff. So I have curry jerk and of a couple of different ones, and I was like, I'm gonna try it. No,
He said,
the
and
jerk the jerk seasoning is really strong, but not quite strong enough to cover the curry. I can't do the curry. I've tried and tried and tried and tried, and I'm just like, that's a no for me.
yeah,
And for
and
that
that
reason, I'm out.
yeah, and that's how food is for some people. Some things are just going to work for you. You're not like
Yeah.
not everybody's the people that just love everything. I'm blessed that I am like I haven't found anything that I'm like, oh, I can't eat that. No, no, no. Maybe some of that. I've never tried that. Have you ever had that really stinky fruit? What is it called, like durian fruit or something like that? Have you ever seen it with the spikes on it?
Yeah.
Have you ever
I
tried that?
had I had a very small piece of it, and that's also in the same category of absolutely not ever again.
I thought
Um,
I heard it tastes like cheese though. Is that true?
it's a little cheesy. I'm also weird about textures, and I mean, like I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. He was a guy that used to work for me when I ran an ambulance service. He's like, man, I got one, and like he brought it in, and like it stunk my entire office up,
Oh no.
and I was like, bro, you got to get that out of my office, like out. But
That's so funny.
he was a very adventurous guy, and literally was like they went out to Colorado and went skiing for vacation, and then like 2 weeks later, you know, he's working and he's like looking at houses, you know, between calls, and then like literally maybe 30 days, 60 days later, he's like, man, we sold my house. We're moving. Where are you moving to?
Wow.
Colorado. Why? He's like, went on vacation, loved it. Okay, bro.
Hey, I take my hat off to people like that. God bless him. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Yeah, you see something you want to go get it. Life is short.
yeah, yeah. Well, I disagree. Life is one of the longest things. Matter of fact, I think it is the longest thing that you'll ever do.
Well, that's true. That's true. But in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah,
the years that you spend are very short. You don't get
yeah,
a lot of them, you know?
yeah,
So yeah, live them to the fullest, everybody. Live them to the fullest. That's what I'm talking about.
absolutely. So we come to work for RecTech, and you are a kind of an on-air personality slash cook.
Yes, sir.
slash chefs slash building recipes, I
Yep.
guess, for the website and for content creation and that sort of thing.
Yep. So
Is that?
I first came on, they didn't really. I was doing content creation, but there wasn't a lot of that going on. We were just kind of starting to get in the early stages of that. Jody had been
Mhm.
doing it for a while. So Jody was like, for those of you who don't know who Jody is Jody Flanagan. He's our brand advocacy manager, and he
Mhm.
was the first kind of representation for RecTech to like put out there in social media. So he had been doing it for probably like a couple of years, 2 or 3 years before I got here. Um, and then once I got here, though, that we really started trying to take it a little bit more serious, uh, trying to like start forming, days at Fun Day Friday for all those people out there that watch Fun Day Friday. We started like doing those regularly, started instituting more like programming content. And then it was a lot of like recipe development, a lot of answering questions about RecTech and why it's better. And um, it was really just a lot of talking in those first early days. And
Mhm.
then we moved. I was there at the last building we were at on Washington Road, and we were there
Mhm.
for probably 2 years, 2.5 years before we moved to this new building we're at now on Evans to Locks Road. And yeah, it was a big change. Once we moved over here, everything started picking up speed a little bit. Uh,
Yeah.
we were
Well,
doing,
and yeah, and then the new place, it's for anybody that's not been out there. Like if you're a grill enthusiast or a smoker enthusiast or barbecue enthusiast, it's almost like I liken it to walking into like a Six Flags or something like that because you've got the moniker above the walkway
yeah,
into the showroom. And the first time I was out to headquarters there, I was one of the first people in the parking lot, and I was like, when you used to go, I don't know if about you, but like when I was a kid, like if we went to Six Flags or like a theme park, you got to be one of the first people there so you can get in
yeah,
line.
yeah. There you go.
And so like I pulled into the parking lot and I'm like, there's like 5 or 6 cars like peppered in the parking lot, and I'm like, we're one of the first people here this morning. And I'm like, this really reminds me of growing up going to the theme park as an adult. So like it
That's
was
so
almost
funny.
an experience.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's what Ray and then Ray and Ron were really trying to do. That's why they wanted a big facility. They wanted some place that when people came, they were kind of like blown away a little bit. They wanted it to be just full of rec tech. They wanted you to feel the love when you were like immediately just drive into the parking lot. So that's how they kind of designed this place, as like shock and awe. And like you said, as you come up, you drive up the hill, you see the RecTech flags out there. You get to the parking lot, everything's painted red and black, and you walk across the skywalk into the retail area. It's really nice, and it's a huge change from where we started from. And we're super
yeah,
blessed to have all this stuff. We really, really are.
yeah, for sure. It's an experience, and I don't know that other grill companies do anything similar to that. I mean, you'll have like a little retail store and that sort of thing, but like it's almost like an attraction more than a grill, facility.
Yes, sir.
I don't know, it's kind of interesting to explore that. And Ray and I kind of explored it briefly when he was on the show a couple of months back.
Sweet.
But so you're here, you're at RecTech, and you're kind of becoming the personality for the brand, one of, and you're growing obviously culinary wise, so it's still interesting to you. And we talked about before we came on. You're going here, going there. We talked
Yeah,
about when we first started. We went, cooked for Burt Kreischer and all those guys.
yeah.
And you've got a bunch of events coming up. So, kind of talk to me and my listeners about where they can see you, because obviously we're in the in the Georgia area, Atlanta
Yeah.
and Augusta. Where can they see you in the next coming weeks and months? and then we'll kind of spin around and see what the next chapter for Chef John looks like.
That sounds great. So you guys can always find me on any social media platform. I'm Chef John Pinnell. Just type that in. You'll see this big, brown, beautiful face. You can hit follow me there. We're starting to do more and more events. So like we were just talking about, I just got back this past weekend, this last Saturday. We did Fox and Friends. We were up there cooking on that show, and it was great. It was my first time on a national TV show. I've been on a couple movie sets before, but it was my first time on a national TV set, and it was awesome. I had a great time, learned a lot of stuff, made some really great contacts, and looking forward to going back and doing that again at some point. So let's see. So we just did the burger battle yesterday. So I got back from Sunday from that. Burger battle for the Boys and Girls Club of Augusta was yesterday. We came in third place. You'd be proud of us, Wes. We did a Wagyu brisket burger, little mini burger,
Okay.
right? We made some pimento cheese from scratch, topped that, right? And then we got some pork. Jody got some pork belly. We smoked it and then cured it, turned it into our own bacon, sliced
Hmm.
that, put that on top, and then sandwiched it between two pieces of brioche bun. It was good.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
really good. So we took third place in that. But it was a great opportunity for us to give back to the community. You know this as well, but we're all about um, events in the community, trying to help out the community, any kind of thing that we can do to give back. We're more than willing and able to try to do that kind of stuff. We're just so happy and thankful that the community has really accepted us, especially the CSRA. They come out to all the events. They show us a lot of love. So anytime that we can show the love back to them, we're always more than happy to do. But we're also going to be at the and then tomorrow is 9/11. In honor of 9/11, we're partnering with the Columbia County Fire Department. They're
Hmm.
doing a ladder crawl where they're going to have firemen going up and down ladders, carrying some of the fallen fighters from 9/11, carrying their badge numbers up and down. So we're going to feed all those guys and gals tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to that. And we're going to be going live on TikTok for your viewers that want to tune in. I think it'll be live around 8:30 or 9 tomorrow. It's going to be an early event. Um,
Hmm.
and then this weekend, we will be in Lexington for the Georgia-Kentucky game. Go Dogs! Woo, 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 woo. We're going to be whooping up on them Wildcats. So we'll be out there tailgating with some of our other affiliates out there in Lexington. So any of your fans that are going to be around that area, definitely come check us out. We will be passing
Absolutely.
out good stuff. I'm going to be cooking all kinds of good stuff. It's going to be fun. It'll be a lot of fun. And then coming up, we're also going to be doing a couple of other college football games. We're going to be in Colorado for the Colorado Kansas State game. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if everyone knows, but Warren Sapp is one of the coaches out of Colorado.
Yeah.
So we're going to be able to go out there, feed the team, feed the staff, talk to Warren, maybe talk to Dion, Shador, Travis, Shiloh. It's going to be a great, great time. I'm really looking forward to
Yeah.
that. And then we're going to be headed to Penn State for, I think it's the Penn State Ohio State game. I think that's
Okay.
like 2 weeks after that. So we're busy. We got stuff. We
Yeah.
got new products coming out, bro. We've got some irons in the fire. We're getting ready for Rec Tech Fest. It's going to be in 2025, which is our
Yeah.
yearly like customer appreciation day. It's a lot of fun for anybody who doesn't know about it or hasn't been. It's totally free. It's an all free event. We have
Hmm.
food. We have games for the kids. We have bands. We have sales on grills. We have scratch and dent sales. It is a lot of fun. I think last year, Wes, we topped out at right over 10,000 people showing up for
Holy
this event.
cow.
Yeah, so it was awesome. We had Gary Lee Bedingfield here. He was playing music. We had a whole bunch of local bands. So it was fun. It was a good time, and I highly encourage anybody out there who wants to come. Just look for it. It's going to be in the spring of 2025. It'll be a lot of fun.
For sure. So you're at the Rec Tech, and we'll see you at the Rec Tech.
See
Um,
you.
I may have watched one or two Rec Tech displays of Fun Day Friday and that sort of thing.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so you're enjoying being a rec tech. What do you see future for Chef John? I mean, is it because I kind of I look at you as a yes, you're an employee there, but you're also a personality, like just like kind of Jody's a personality. Some of the other guys there that kind of have an online presence slash personality, and you kind of have to look at it from a brand management. You kind of have to, m- you know, you're managing your brand and your image, and you're Chef John from RecTech, but you're also kind of a personality. Do you see that transitioning at all, or that's the Chef John, the online presence turning into something that you do kind of on the side, and it
Yeah.
turns into a side, caveat that you do?
Yeah, well, I will, I'll always be here for RecTech. I appreciate the opportunity that Ray gave me of letting me, represent his company and putting me in front of an audience that I probably wouldn't normally have been in front of.
Yeah,
So I am forever, 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 forever thankful for that, for Ray and Ron
yeah.
taking that chance on me. And I feel like it's been mutually beneficial for both of us. So I
Hmm.
will
Oh yeah,
always be here for RecTech
yeah,
in some capacity. Now, I don't necessarily know. Um, how that's going to lay out in the future. I know that I'll still be making content. I'll still be going places. I'll still be growing that Chef John RecTech persona. And as RecTech grows, I'm hoping that that part of my career grows as well. As far as
yeah,
the future goes, though, I'm going to still be grinding it out, and I want to go all the way, guys. So hopefully, you guys will be seeing me on more national network stuff, representing RecTech and hopefully representing
yeah,
myself. Um,
yeah,
and that will hopefully transcend into me just moving forward with more podcast. We've got some stuff in the pipeline for 2025, more social media content. So we're super excited, and sky's the limit. Wes, sky's the limit
yeah.
when it comes to Chef John. So I'm trying to push it all the way till I can't stop.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I kind of I asked it. I was like, I mean, I'm not looking at, oh, let me make an announcement. I'm going to work for some other company. Like, it wasn't anything like that. It was, I have a personal friend of mine that he is a content creator now
Right.
full time. That is what he does for himself. And I linked up with him originally through a seasoning company, and for we're not going to share the seasoning company or him to be able to for anybody to put the pieces together, but they were an absolutely kind of counterproductive for what it was that he was doing, and he was kind of having to build two different to be two different people. He could be him, and then he could be the brand him. Whereas where you are, you're kind of it's kind of the same thing. They kind of
Yeah.
they overlap a little bit,
Yeah.
and Chef John is also RecTech. Chef John is there. You guys are you're not having to be two different people,
Right.
so you can continue to grow where you are. But what do kind of what do you see for the future, almost kind of thing. So it was kind of
Yeah. No,
that
RegTech
was
has.
where the questioning, yeah, the
Yeah.
line of questioning came from.
No, RecTech has been really great about that, letting us, that's me, Chef Greg, and Jody, be ourselves and promote our own channels and our own content, as well as pushing forward RecTech's brand. And I think
Yeah.
we've done a really good job of navigating that area because it could get kind of murky and gray when you
Hmm.
are looking out for your own personal image, plus you're representing a company as well. That
Yeah.
stuff can start to get gray because you want to put everybody, you want to make sure everybody's happy. That's my goal. At the end of the day, when I'm
Yeah.
producing a piece of content, I'm making sure that like if it's a RecTech piece of content, that RecTech is shining in there, and I'm also shining in there. Um,
Yeah.
and that's and it's like I said, it's a tough road to navigate sometimes. But I feel like the more that we do it, the easier it is, and the more that you work with good people, they're gonna lead you in the right direction. You know, you're gonna be able to bounce ideas off of these people, and and it's gonna be most of the time the answer is already something that you know, but it's just
Yeah,
good hearing it from somebody else, and you're like, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Um,
yeah,
so RecTech's been really great at really not just allowing us to do that, but kind of mentoring us and like, you
yeah.
know, maybe you
That's
guys need to
yeah,
push this area or push this area. And not all of the time it has to do with RecTech stuff. So a lot of the time it's just our personal channels and stuff helping us just grow that. So it's been great. It's
yeah,
really been good for me. Really good.
yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's what I just, watching the content that I watch, on Facebook and TikTok and all these other things, just the stuff that comes through my phone screen. I'm like, it feels like this is a Chef John piece, or this is a
Mhm.
Jody piece, and it has Jody flavor, but it's
Right.
also, it's your recipe, but it's on their grill, and it's kind of it's a balancing act, and it seems like it comes across, at least on my end, it comes across done very well. It's not like
Awesome.
this is a Rectech thing, this is a Chef John thing, this
Right.
is a Chef Tech, a Rectech and a Chef John piece.
Right.
So it's kind of, it
And
comes across that way.
that's awesome. That's what we're really shooting for. And I know I can speak for Chef Greg and Jody as well. We really try hard for it to be a seamless blend. Like, you know, it just doesn't matter if it's a Rec Tech piece or if it's a Chef John content piece. Both people are going to be able to shine in this piece of content. And we're
Yeah.
really, and like I said again, I want to give a huge shout out to our marketing team. Jody and Greg and I are part of the marketing. Like, so Rec Tech's broke up into different, obviously, departments. Um,
Hmm.
the department I answer to is the marketing department. And in that department, we have videographers, photographers, editors, we have content producers, we have, directors, the whole gambit of people
Hmm.
that support staff that help us navigate this whole road of, is this a good post? Where am I lacking? Where do I need to
Yeah.
like get a little bit more traction? So that
Hmm.
really, really, really helps a lot having that
Yeah.
team. I've learned so much from them because going into this, I was just a chef. The
Yeah.
pictures I would take would be of like great plates or, great looking food. And I was just posting it on Instagram. So
Yeah.
working with these group of people really have taken my game to the next level and have shown me
Yeah.
like, instead of just taking a picture of this, let's try to find what's trending right now. And let's try to push some of this stuff as opposed to just putting up a plate of spaghetti that is not going to get any, relevancy. So it's been great.
Yeah.
It's been really great.
Yeah. Well, and I liken it to, like, I don't know if you listened or saw, I just did a roundtable episode a couple of weeks ago with some guys that are content creators, and then a guy that is he used to work for Hasty Bake, and he was kind of like the personality of Hasty Bake, and
Oh, cool.
kind of helped eh, push Hasty back, into the modern 2022, 23, 24 area, because they were kind of like just almost dying out, because
Right.
the people that were using the cookers, they're great cookers, but you don't have to buy another one because it's still working.
Right.
And, like, they're basically they're handing down their stuff. So, for him to push the brand forward, and then he eventually stepped away because his Hasty Bake and his personal brand, they just didn't line up, I guess. And now he is, doing brand management and marketing, stuff like that. And I look at the RecTech people, personalities rather, as you guys are content creators. You're starting out as a content creator with a massive team behind you. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have got, like, I've my buddy Kunchi Latour. He is a content creator full time. He just released a book, matter of fact, and he's doing classes and teaching and everything else. But, outside of having his kid hold a camera or his wife hold a camera, like, he's doing it all by himself.
Yeah.
And you guys have got like a massive, backing of support staff and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see how RecTech puts value in you guys, and lets the marketing team create content around you guys.
Yeah.
It's beneficial for both parties. It's just like it's a person that wants to be a YouTuber or a content creator full time, like that job would be absolutely the best thing ever for them, because that
Yeah.
would help them get off the ground,
Yeah.
and they would have the best videography, the shooting,
Yeah.
the angles, the timing, and everything else. Because I'm sure RecTech does a whole lot of, like, studying about when's the best time to do
Yeah.
XYZ.
Yep, we do.
Whereas
We have a person that's dedicated to that kind of stuff. But and we do. I am, and we are so blessed to have these guys. And but more, it's more that they've shown us how to do it than it is that they're necessarily doing it for us. Now, on some
Mhm.
shoots, obviously they're taking the lead, but a lot of the stuff that you see, like on my personal page, will be stuff that I've shot or Jody has shot himself on an iPhone. And
Mhm.
we've just edited it down ourselves and put it up on
Yeah.
there. And that's just because they've taught us. Like, I didn't know how to do a lot of this stuff before. They taught me how to use, all these editing software and stuff that I can do on my phone. Um, and I didn't necessarily know that phones nowadays can do as much as they can. So
Oh yeah.
they've shown me so much stuff that has kept me like in the loop and keeps pushing my stuff forward. As opposed to them, like, I don't want to give your viewers the wrong idea. Like, yes, I am blessed that I have videographers, photographers, a whole support staff to bounce ideas off of, and meetings where we
Yeah.
talk about content creation and all that kind of stuff. But it really comes down to like the drive you have in yourself. Um,
Yeah.
if if I wasn't a driven person, I definitely wouldn't be in the position that I'm at. So for all you people who don't have those kind of resources, keep the drive, keep pushing, and I promise you, if you do not give up on yourself, you will get to that next level. It'll happen
Yeah.
because the cream always rises to the top, and they are always looking for great people to make great
Mhm.
content out there. Um,
Yeah.
people that's there are people that that's what their job is, just to go and watch content and find out who the next big thing is or what the next hot thing is. So I
Yeah.
encourage all your listeners out there, if you got some people who are doing podcasts or doing cooking, or if there's something that you're passionate about, that you're like, you've dedicated yourself to, don't give up on yourself, believe in yourself, keep pushing, and you can reach those goals 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this was kind of a this last little bit here with the content creation and you're an online personality, and you work for a brand that will allow you to be you and grow into you. Like, if you wanted to grow, super long braids, or you wanted to spike your hair up, or
Yeah.
start speaking with an accent, you probably could trust that Ray'd be like that's a pretty good idea,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah.
perhaps we do this color braids instead.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Rectech red braids. How about
You're
that?
right, right, right. We can't have you out there looking like a Targaryen with white braids. You have to got to get the red braids, John, if you're gonna do braids. For sure. No, they really let you, and they like that. They think, and I feel the same way, that when it's natural and you're being who you're supposed to be,
Yeah.
the camera, people receive that a lot better than when you're trying to force it or you're trying to be someone who you're not. You may
Yeah.
get away with it for a little while, and you may be able to put
Hmm.
that front up for a little while, but eventually that front is going to bust and it's going to cave. So if you don't have it, you just don't have it, and God bless you. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong at
Yeah.
all. Like, just find whatever your niche is, and I really believe that everybody out there has something that they do better than everybody else. I just
Yeah.
don't. You have to find out what that is. For me, it was cooking, and I found it at a very young age. So I was really, really blessed and really, really lucky to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe that if it's not your thing, then that's okay. Just go find out what your thing is. There's no harm in saying that, like, look, I'm not good at this. And there's no
Yeah.
harm in saying, look, I'm not good at this, but I'm willing to put the work in to make myself good at it.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, we talk about him, probably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I don't know how you feel about LeBron or whatever, but I'm a Michael fan. And he talks about, he got cut from his high school basketball team. You
Hmm.
know, he talks about all the foul shots that he shot, practicing for hours and hours, running the same drills, layups,
Yeah.
foul shots, short shots. And he said it was that dedication to the game that made him the
Yeah.
best player, and it was the drive that he had in him to be the best is what made him the best.
Yeah.
Not that he had necessarily the most skill, but at
Yeah.
that time, but he trained himself to be the most skilled player on the court. And you can do, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone can do that as well. It just depends on what you have inside of you and what you're willing to give to get to that level.
Yeah. Well, and he played baseball for like
Mhm.
a short little period, didn't he?
Yeah, like 2 years, I think.
Terrible, terrible baseball player.
Terrible, terrible baseball player. Terrible baseball
But
player.
he found out what he was good at. He went back
Hmm.
to basketball.
Sure enough, did.
Uh, no, it's RegTech is a super interesting company to me because like I've kind of followed along with them for I mean I feel like 10 years, but I might actually be pretty close dead on. But
Yeah,
like the way and the way that they structure everything that they do, like from an online standpoint, it's common sense to a point, but it's also like it's authentic, and them allowing you to be your authentic self, and that you guys do the Fun Day Friday and all the different things that you guys do, and you guys were on the cutting edge. Like everybody now, I'm hearing complaints of every time I turn on TikTok, they're trying to sell me something. The content that you put out, you're pushing a product of some sort, but it never came off like that, and it
right.
still doesn't come off like that. Like it's like, oh, well, we're using this seasoning. Hey, you could get it on the website,
Yeah,
and that's what everybody on TikTok's doing now. But like RecTech was doing that years ago, but they were
years
doing
ago.
it
Yeah,
way, way, I guess passive,
yeah. Well,
maybe passive selling.
yeah, we learned a long time ago that like it's good to push, it's good to push people, but we found that educating people is better than pushing people.
a hundred
And that
percent.
and that's probably I would have to say, Wes, that's the best thing about working for RecTech for these years, all these years, coming up on I think 8 years now, um, is that I've never had to lie about the product. Not one time have I had to lie about the product. So that has been great. Everything that I say is true, and the grills are great. They'll stand the
Yeah,
test of time. We have the best customer service. We have some of the best warranty. We're really just trying. So we're really more about education because we know in
yeah,
our heart of hearts that we have a great product. Like we don't have to
yeah,
lie or bullshit about it. So if we just educate the public on why pellet grills are better than charcoal
mhm,
and gas grills, they give more flavor, more even cooking, less mess, just easier to control all the way around. You don't have to be a pit master anymore to create great barbecue. For all these reasons, they're
yeah,
that pellet grills are better. And then once I've got people convinced that pellet grills are better, and I just tell them that they're the grill of the future. Like
yeah,
gas grills and charcoal grills are dying out. No one wants to do that
yeah,
anymore. And once I got them convinced of that, then I just tell them. And once now that you want to get a pellet grill, you go do your research. Just go look at all the different pellet grill companies. I work for one of the majors. I'm not going to tell
yeah,
you which one. You go look, and I promise you, if you go look and you try to find the best grill for your budget, you will be back to RecTech, and I'll be speaking to
yeah,
you again. And 9 out of 10 times, I end up talking to those people again at some point. Either it's to give
yeah,
them a recipe, and they remind me. They're like, "You told me to go do, and now look at me. I'm calm, getting a recipe from you." I'm like, "Yeah, I told you." I was like, "Yeah." So for us, it's really not as much pushing as it is education because we know we're at the
yeah,
top of the food chain. So if people start to educate themselves, it's going to keep pushing them back to RecTech. Every time you get on the computer and you look up, um, you know, reliable controllers, it's going to push you to the RecTech PID controller. When you look up most stainless steel for grills, it's going to push you back to RecTech grills.
yeah,
When you look for best warranty on pellet grills, it's going to push you back direct. So For us, it's just more about education, educating the public on why they need a pellet grill, what makes them better than charcoal gas grills, and then getting them in the thought process. Okay, now you go do the research on why or what kind of pellet grill you want and what best fits your
Yeah,
budget, and we'll be seeing you. We'll be seeing you in about
yeah,
6 months. Yeah,
yeah.
so
Like
it's
I
been
say,
great.
you do your research, and we'll see you at the rec tech.
And we'll see you at the rec tag. That's it. I mean, and that pretty much sums it up right there. Like, yeah, and we
Yeah,
will see you guys back eventually at the rec tag when you're ready to buy a pellet grill. So, and that's one of the main things I've been super blessed about is because I am in content creation, and a lot of those people you can't believe what they're saying. Like, a lot of people are just trying to sell you a product. They're just trying to make the money,
hmm,
trying to get those sales. They're just worried about the bottom line. At RecTech, and I know this sounds cheesy to all your listeners, but we really care about you guys. We just don't want to sell you a grill. We want to sell you the right grill for you. Like we have several different types of grills, price ranging from moderate to expensive grills. But
yeah,
after we've talked to you for a minute, find out how you cook, how many people you're cooking for, what kind of food you're cooking. We can put you in the perfect grill for you. And once you're
yeah,
in the RecTech family, it's easier to get in than it is to get out. Once you're in, you're in, like, and we're here for you,
correct.
recipes, calls, customer service, parts, whatever you get, whatever you need. We want you to have a great grilling experience every time that you push that button. We want everyone to be the king and queens of the cul-de-sac. So that's where we're
Yeah,
coming from. And we know if we can deliver on that end, everything else will fall into place. So
yeah,
RecTech really like, yes, we are a business and we are trying to make money. Of course, I'd be lying to you if I told y'all we were not. We are. But for us, customer service and the customer experience, I promise you, we've dumped tons of time and energy into finding out ways to make the customer experience better,
yeah,
ways to bring the customer in and make them feel more secure about making these kind of purchases, and just educating the public on why they need a pellet grill. So yeah, it's pretty
yeah.
much.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and being that, up until recently, you couldn't just walk into a store and see any rec tech at all,
Yeah,
and for them to have grown into the company that they are, like, you kind of have to be really good at social media.
yeah.
Like, I remember, and by the way, I said maybe it's been 10 years. If you've been there 8, it's been longer than 10. Um, but like I can remember like um, when I got my first when I got my hands on my first Rec Tech, I had the 680 with the
Yeah,
it was right as soon as they went from the red to the black lid, and I can remember I actually had a guy come to my house, and I was like, "Hey man, come by the house, grab a hold of the horn, and lift that lid, and you'll leave here and go buy a Rec Tech." And
yeah.
I literally had a guy come to my had no clue who the heck he was. He lived close to me,
Yeah,
and he drove like 30 minutes, came by, looked at the Rec Tech, and was like, we talked for 15, 20 minutes. He left, and like 2 or 3 weeks later, I get tagged in a post on Facebook, and he's like, "Hey man, appreciate you letting me come by and take a look at your grill. Mine just showed up." And like it's literally it's grassroots marketing,
it's true.
and kind of, I mean, a little guerrilla marketing even,
Yeah,
but like it's boots on the ground and folks that believe in that product.
yeah.
And it's not to turn this into a rec tech commercial at this point. This was all supposed to have been about you, but like we're on a tangent. Hey
Yeah.
Ray, pay both of us for this. Thank you. The check's in the mail, right, Ray?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So, but man, I appreciate your time hanging out
Yes,
with
sir.
me.
Yes, sir. Anytime, Wes.
Hit me with all your socials again, and we'll
All right.
wrap this
Yeah,
thing up, man.
I am on all social media. Just look up Chef John Pennell. Pannell is the last name. And that's for everything. You'll see this big, brown, beautiful face pop up. Just hit follow on that. But yeah, make sure you're following me on RecTech, all RecTech social media channels. We are RecTeq. And that's going to be on everything. And you'll be able to see me on there as well.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for your time,
Yes,
Chef
sir.
John. Hope to get pay no attention to your luggage if it's a little bit heavier when you're out flying out to Colorado. Don't pay any attention. You definitely packed your own bag, and I was in that bag before you packed it, so
I
we're
love
good
it. I
there.
love it. I think you're gonna fit
Uh,
great, bro.
a contortionist. Uh, all right, guys, that'll put this week's episode in the books. Shout out to my guest this week, Chef John, the Rec Tech lifestyle guy and the online personality, Chef John. I appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. Guys, if you've enjoyed this week's episode, we would appreciate a review, a like, a share, and as always, keep smoking. Thanks, John.